Hello there my RPG lovers and welcome to another video. Stormrite is an upcoming open world action RPG. A few days ago the public test for the game has been released and you can actually go and download it yourself by visiting Stormrite's official Discord. We're going to talk about everything that we know about Stormrite and my impressions from playing the public test. And before you ask in the comments, the developer is planning to release the game on PC and consoles. So what is Stormrite all about? Well, let's find out. The Stormrites are ancient passages that were eventually deciphered and written by the Elders of Misspeak, a council that has been around for centuries. These passages grant the reader immense power, but not without a cost. Across the land there were drawings and scratchings on the walls that hinted at some greater being. A being that could control time, the earth, the underworld, and anything else you could imagine. There were drawings of it creating tornadoes, raising demons from the earth, and stopping time altogether. This being was feared across the land and also worshipped by those who were too afraid to be afraid of it. They called it Requiem in modern terms. This is just a small part of the lore and it's quite interesting in my opinion. You can read the full text by visiting the link in the description. Stormrite is still in early development, but it has a really strong base for the gameplay. The public test was mainly for testing a couple of combat mechanics, and as the developer noted, only a small percentage of the features planned for the game are included in this build, and many of the features you see here are liable to change before release. When you start playing the public test, you have the option to customize your character. All of these options are obviously just a placeholder, but it's enough to get an idea of what we can expect from the final product. The most important option here is selecting your weapon type. I played with all the available weapon types, but for my first time I chose the two-hander and a bow. This runic two-handed sword is undoubtedly the coolest weapon in the public test, and if you don't try it out, you're playing the game wrong, dude. Anyway, let's talk about the combat. You just have a regular attack and a parry button with two-handed and one-handed swords, and a block button with a shield. We'll talk about the bow gameplay after this. The angle of your attacks is really important, as well as positioning. So, for example, if the enemy is holding a shield, you can try and strike his unprotected side and the legs. The reaction of enemies to being hit seems to be quite decent with proper animations. This gives you the feeling like you're actually hitting his legs, which is great. The parry button seems to work properly as well, and it's not too hard to pull it off. But in some situations, it can be a little bit unresponsive. It will usually stagger your enemies, which gives you the opportunity to strike back. But you can expect your enemies to parry your attacks as well. It gets really tricky when you're trying to fight multiple enemies, but it's still manageable if you time your hits accordingly. And what's really interesting, in these kinds of fights there is friendly fire, which means that NPCs can accidentally hit their friends. Whenever you start attacking, you're locked in animation and in the direction of the attack. If this was not the case, this type of combat just wouldn't work, because the positioning and hit angles wouldn't matter at all. But in order for this type of combat to feel right, the hitboxes need to be on point. And luckily, they seem to be really good. The range on weapon swings is almost perfect. Hit feedback is one of the major things that the game lacks in its current state. It's one of those things which will add weight to your attacks. Now obviously, there are a lot more combat related things that are still to be added in the game. This is basically just a skeleton. But even in its current state, it really feels like this developer knows what he's doing. And by this developer, I actually mean one guy. Stormrite is being developed by only one person, and that's really impressive and ambitious. Anyway, back to the combat. Playing with a shield is really interesting as well. You can hold the parry button to start actively blocking, but you don't actually need to do this in order to block attacks. Even by just equipping the shield, you will block attacks if the enemy is aiming for that side. Same goes when you put the shield on your back. If enemies attack at the right angle, they will hit the shield, and you can block arrows like this as well. Don't expect to hit the NPC in the back with the bow if he has a shield. I really like these kinds of details, it makes the combat a lot more enjoyable in my opinion. The combat AI seems really decent. NPCs with a bow will always try to keep out of the melee range, while melee NPCs will constantly try to find the best angle for attacking you. They will usually try to flank you if you're fighting multiple NPCs. So yeah, like I already said, the positioning is really important. Now let's talk about the bow gameplay for a bit. It feels pretty good in its current state. And just like the melee combat, one major thing that it lacks is some proper impact on hit. The first thing that came to my mind is Mount and Blade Bannerlord. This game has a really simple sound effect for headshots, but it adds to the impact quite a bit. That's what I mean by a proper impact on hit. However, I really like how enemies with a shield are much harder to deal with. You have to be really precise with a bow, otherwise there is a big chance to hit the shield. We are not sure what this developer has planned for ranged gameplay, but I would definitely like to see more variety when it comes to the bow. Perhaps different arrow types and some special abilities. But that's just pure speculation, we'll have to wait and see. The developer is working on the magic system as well, and I definitely can't wait to see how that works. Speaking about future plans, here is the list of features that is planned for the game. Fully open world for you to explore, collect and discover hundreds of items, immersive gameplay, less hand-holding with quests, with multiple endings to major quest lines, a multitude of weapons for you to collect and use, large-scale war, pick a side and fight in the large-scale war across the map, dynamic parkour, complex parkour system allows you to explore the world with ease, caves and dungeons. Seems really promising, especially the part about the quests and the parkour system. I could definitely imagine how the parkour system would work in the game. Even in the public test, the movement seems like it would support that system quite nicely. Anyway, I will follow the development of this game and try to keep you updated. You can join the official Discord server for the game if you don't want to miss anything. Stormrite has the potential to be a really good RPG, I just hope this developer will manage to finish it. And that would be all for this video. I really hope you enjoyed, and if you did, pressing the thumbs up button would mean a lot. Tell me your opinions about this game in the comments below. How does it look to you, and do you think it has the potential to be a good RPG? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more content and click on the bell icon so you don't miss any future uploads. Special thanks to my Patreons, and if you as well want to become one of them, all the links are in the description. Patreon is definitely the best place to directly support my work, and every contribution is highly appreciated. That would be all, and I'll see you in the next one.